Did you know that every 2 minutes, a child dies from malaria? That's right. Malaria is still a huge problem for children in many parts of the world, particularly in places where healthcare is hard to access. It's heartbreaking to think about, but understanding this problem is the first step toward doing something about it. If you've never thought about how malaria impacts kids, today's video will give you all the basics. So let's dive in and discuss what malaria is, how it affects children, and what can be done to prevent it. By the end of this video, you'll have a much clearer picture of how serious this issue is and what can be done. First, what exactly is malaria? Many people have heard of it, but they might not know the specifics. Malaria is a disease caused by parasites called Plasmodium, which are spread to humans through the bites of infected female mosquitoes. Not just any mosquito can carry malaria, only the Anopheles mosquitoes can spread it. When an infected mosquito bites someone, the parasite enters the bloodstream and begins its journey. Once inside, it travels to the liver, where it multiplies before returning to the bloodstream to attack red blood cells. This process causes many of the symptoms associated with malaria. Now let's talk about kids. Malaria is particularly dangerous for children, especially those under 5 years old. Their immune systems are still developing, which means they're more vulnerable to the disease. Every year, millions of children around the world get malaria, and many of them live in sub-Saharan Africa, where the disease is most common. It's hard to imagine, but for many families, malaria is a regular part of life. Children can fall sick multiple times a year, and without proper treatment, it can lead to serious health issues or even death. So, what are the symptoms of malaria, and how do you know if a child has it? The tricky thing about malaria is that its symptoms can look a lot like the flu or a bad cold, especially in the early stages. Children with malaria often have a high fever, chills, sweating, headaches, and muscle aches. Some kids also experience nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea. Because these symptoms are so common in many other illnesses, it's easy to mistake malaria for something else. That's why it's so important to get medical help if a child has a fever and has been in an area where malaria is common. Malaria isn't just uncomfortable, it's dangerous. In severe cases, children can experience complications like anemia, a lack of red blood cells, breathing problems, and even organ failure. Some children develop a condition known as cerebral malaria, where the infection affects the brain and can lead to seizures, coma, or death. This is why it's so important to catch and treat malaria early. The faster a child gets treatment, the better their chances of recovering without long-term effects. Let's switch gears a bit and talk about how malaria spreads. As I mentioned earlier, malaria is spread through the bites of infected mosquitoes. These mosquitoes are most active during the evening and nighttime, which is why many families in malaria-prone areas sleep under bed nets to protect themselves. These nets are often treated with insecticides to kill mosquitoes and reduce the number of bites people get while they sleep. It's a simple but effective way to prevent malaria. But preventing malaria goes beyond just using bed nets. Another way to reduce the risk of malaria is to control mosquito populations. Mosquitoes breed in standing water, so keeping areas clean and dry can help reduce the number of mosquitoes. This includes things like draining puddles, cleaning gutters, and making sure there are no open containers of water outside. Some communities also use indoor spraying with insecticides to kill mosquitoes inside homes. This can make a big difference, especially in areas where mosquitoes are common. Another way to prevent malaria is through medications. In some cases, people traveling to malaria-prone areas take anti-malarial drugs to protect themselves from getting sick. These medications help prevent the parasites from multiplying in the body, which can stop the disease before it starts. While these drugs aren't perfect, they can provide an extra layer of protection, especially for travelers or people who are at higher risk of getting malaria. Now let's talk about treatment. Once a child is diagnosed with malaria, the next step is to treat it with anti-malarial medications. The most effective treatments are called artemisinin-based combination therapies, or ACTs. These medications work by reducing the number of parasites in the bloodstream, which helps the body recover. Acts are considered the gold standard for malaria treatment because they are both effective and fast-acting, but timing is everything when it comes to treatment. The sooner a child gets treatment, the better their chances of recovering without any serious complications. But treatment isn't always easy to access, especially in remote or underdeveloped areas. In some regions, healthcare facilities are far away, and families may not have the resources to get to a doctor quickly. This lack of access to treatment is one reason why malaria continues to be such a deadly disease for children. In areas where healthcare is limited, children often don't get the treatment they need in time, which can lead to severe complications or even death. Strengthening healthcare systems and making sure that malaria treatments are available to everyone who needs them is a crucial part of the fight against malaria. So, what can be done to improve the situation? One of the most important steps is raising awareness about malaria and its symptoms. The more people know about the disease, the better equipped they are to recognize it early and seek treatment. This includes educating parents, caregivers, and communities about the importance of using bed nets, keeping areas clean, and getting medical help as soon as a child shows symptoms. Education is a key part of prevention, and it can save lives. Another important step is providing resources to areas where malaria is common. This includes things like bed nets, medications, and diagnostic tools. By making these resources more widely available, we can help reduce the number of malaria cases and improve treatment outcomes. There are also ongoing efforts to develop a malaria vaccine, which could provide long-term protection against the disease. While a widely available vaccine is still in the works, the progress being made is promising and offers hope for the future. In addition to these efforts, it's important to support global health initiatives that are working to combat malaria. Organizations like the World Health Organization, WHO, and various nonprofits are working hard to reduce the impact of malaria around the world. They provide resources, conduct research, and help communities implement preventive measures. Supporting these efforts, whether through donations or raising awareness, can make a big difference in the fight against malaria. At the end of the day, malaria is a global health issue that affects millions of children every year. While the disease is most common in certain parts of the world, its impact is felt everywhere. The children most at risk are often the ones with the least access to health care, which is why it's so important to address this issue on a global scale. By working together, we can help ensure that all children, no matter where they live, have access to the resources and treatments they need to stay healthy. We've covered a lot in this video, from understanding how malaria spreads to talking about the symptoms, treatments, and preventive measures. Malaria is a serious issue, but with the right knowledge and tools, we can protect our children from this disease. It's important to stay informed, spread awareness, and support efforts to combat malaria. By doing so, we can help reduce the number of cases and save lives. Before we finish up, I want to remind you to stay informed about malaria and other health issues that affect children. The more we know, the better we can protect our kids and make a difference in their lives. Thank you so much for watching, and if you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe to the channel. Let's keep the conversation going, so feel free to leave a comment below with your thoughts or questions. Stay safe, take care, and I'll see you in the next video.